Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Long Bangers Thursday phone in. I'm Matty, and I'm finally getting to grips with this technology after about a year of doing these things. Um, right, we've got a look back, I suppose, at the draw with Kilmarnock, which was on Sunday, but feels like it was much longer ago. Um, I'm not sure if it's just like the fact that it's Thursday now, and we've had the transfer window and all this. Was it just Sunday that we played Kilmarnock? It was, wasn't it? Aye. I was starting to think myself, I was like, I don't know what's all happened since then. The transfer window closed before it. We were on the Thursday night. Transfer window was Friday. We had the game on Sunday. Nothing's happened. Hibs launched an app, and was it Jacob McIntyre signed a 3-year deal today? So a wee bit to talk about. I suppose we'd start with the game on Sunday. James, I'll come to you first on. So, what did you make of the game on Sunday?
Um, I responded to your podcast, the request talking points straight after the game,
Mhm.
and I was livid. It was a dire performance, and didn't enjoy it one bit. But that was straight after the game. Time's a nice healer. Looking back at it, I thought we fought well. Games like that usually kind of get away from us, but I thought we kind of put the boot in a wee bit more dig about us. Um, yeah, we're lacking a bit of kind of class, kind of edge at the moment, but it's never good on that pitch down there. It's never done really well at Kelly. So a point there. Overall, fairly happy now, but not on Sunday night. Sunday night was the drive home was like, just get the fuck out of my way. That road, the A77, just get out of my way. But in hindsight, I think it's a decent point, but it's still a work in progress.
We talked on the podcast about trying to find the positives, right? So I'd mentioned like I feel like I've moaned about Hibs for way too long, and I'm trying to sort of enjoy the football a bit more. I thought I probably agree with you. It wasn't the best game, but I thought the performance was all right without being good. Like I think the pitch was a bit of a leveler, but the thing that I liked was how we stood up to the sort of the physical side of it. Like it was a bit of a war of attrition, but for the first time in ages, I thought we weren't let down in that respect. What do you think about that side of it, James?
Um, Again, on Sunday, I was just wishing Bow would actually concentrate the football, not the shithousery. But again, when you watch it back, just kind of think about Ash's game, and then we stood up to them. The midfield stood up to them. When Quan's a big boy, Triantis was different class. So I enjoyed that in hindsight again. Um, I think the midfield three are big boys. There's no kind of small, kind of 6 foot, well, four, just short arsed midfielder in there. They're all big boys, and they're quite happy to put their boot in. And I think we'll see them get booked a lot.
Hmm.
I think there was a lot of kind of fouls in there, but there wasn't that many bookings. I mean, the referee was dreadful again. Felt a bit of a homer. Yeah, there's dig in there. I mean, Big Marv at the back was solid.
Hmm.
Didn't fuck about. A couple of times he done a couple of turns, but most of the time it was just waist facing, safety first. And I don't mind that in a centre half. Let the midfield, let the wingers do the fancy stuff and lose the ball in possession. Centre half, just get it long if you have to. Bosic's kicking, that's still a bit frustrating, but I've not actually seen him actually save anything yet. That's my concern. I mean, everything seems to be ending up in the back of net, but he's not actually having a lot to deal with.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of shots on target. So from that point of view, we're starting to slowly get a bit more solid, a bit kind of shape about us in defence. My concern is going forward. I think I posted a table of chances created, and we're bottom of that at the moment.
I think that's been updated since it was a shots on target table, but I think they credited us with the Kelly's shots on target on Sunday rather than our ones. So I don't know how much of a difference it made, but I think we're maybe second bottom rather than bottom. So not a world of
Woohoo!
difference,
Progress.
um, but marginally better, I suppose. Um, I suppose I'll go bring John in just now, James. I'll come back to you in a wee bit. John, what were your overriding thoughts after the game on Sunday?
I decided to do a bit of self care and I didn't go. I mean, £30 a ticket, been to pretty much all of the games so far this season, and there was just a bit of sort of breathing space required.
Hmm.
and again, price of tickets and other things that could be done were chosen instead. So I've seen the sort of initial stuff back, gobsmacked at Vassell's miss. I mean, if I'm brutally honest about it, um, that was a lucky in terms of
Yeah.
how the game went. So it was nice to see us being on the right end of something like that. Um, I like I like Triantis when he was playing that role at the end of last season, and it was nice. I was surprised he came straight in, but I'd seen
Hmm.
he'd been in some of the pre-season games. So having watched the 10 minutes of the highlights and also the person who put up on YouTube of every one of Triantis's touches, I mean, it was nice that he has come in and had that immediate impact that we were hoping for. The criticism that we've probably all had with hoping it was going to go well over the past sort of 18 months, sort of since, well, maybe sort of 2.5 years, sort of from the Maloney time,
Hmm.
was too much structure, too much emphasis on playing out from the back, too much emphasis on holding the ball. So we would go to a ground like Kilmarnock and try and play football on a surface that they demonstrate you can't play on because their game is to play the long ball and look for the
Hmm.
scraps. It was really good that we were looking at the surface, looking at our team and playing to that strength. So no, ultimately Kurevich's shot in the first half, having seen it from behind the goals. I mean, I hadn't realised in the wee clip on Twitter that it was an outside of the right boot,
Hmm.
and it curves right in, and it's one of those where, yeah, he's so unlucky that the goalie actually does enough to get back and get a hand on it because it's moving that much. So no, disappointing to lose so late, but probably not lucky not to have been 1-0 down. So I think James has got it right. You're pissed off at the time. Even the stuff coming through, I mean, Hibs Twitter saying that that's a penalty being awarded to Kilmarnock in 90th minute. You're like, how the? But you reflect on it, and a day later, you're thinking it's a point at Kilmarnock. Things could have gone more against us than they did. The team dug in, the team fought. You're starting to see what you would have thought from Gray in terms of the characters and what you'd be looking for from his team in terms of that dig. I think it's noticeable from a recruitment point of view that the average height of the team has gone up.
Hmm.
So we're now putting a team forward that actually is designed to compete and play in the league that it plays in, rather than sort of some sort of artificial idea that we're a third or a fourth place team and we don't have to worry about beating the others. Does that make sense? I'm trying to be
I
trying
know,
to
I
go
know, I
from
know what you
the
mean.
podcast and bring positives
Yeah.
forward rather than
Aye. Do you think we are closest, or that was the closest we've been to seeing the preferred starting 11?
yeah. I listened to Down the Slope guys today, and yeah, we're looking to get sort of Youan into that team. I think somehow, and I think Boyle is probably the one that loses out. Simply for the creativity, and they can probably interchange in terms of 60 minutes, 30 minutes. And yeah, Bowie getting in on a more regular basis.
Hmm.
I just think it's a shame that we've got so many that have, I think we've got 8 players that have gone away to sort of international duty that might just disrupt some of the getting to know each other over the next couple of weeks, but they'll be fitter in a fortnight's time anyway.
Yeah. Tracy, what did you think of the 11 that was picked? Do you think that's close to what we can expect to see?
Yeah, I think so. Just obviously with the guys that we're waiting on coming back from injury. Um, I think, we'll see Elie definitely playing a big part. Um, yeah, and I mean, I don't know if he would drop Boyle. I'm not sure if he will or not, but um, but yeah, no, and I love that midfield. I think that midfield's going to be really special for us this season.
What did you like about it?
Well, who was it that said James said it? Um, there's no, height wise as well. They've got a bit of dig about them as well, because I think we've been run over in the midfield so much. But I think the fact that they've got a little bit of dig about them as well, they'll not take any crap off anybody. those three.
Mhm.
And I think moving Kwon forward a bit and having Triantis as a number 6, I think that works really well. And it was good to see him come back as well.
Everybody was sort of talking about Chantis' performance on Sunday after the game because he was obviously very, very good. I thought Kwon was good as well, and it kind of went unnoticed because of the 1-1 with Scotland. Kwon's performance went unnoticed because Chantis was so good. Do you think we're
Yeah.
starting to see the best of Kwon? I mean, that was only his like sort of first 90 minutes, wasn't it? After starting last week against Dundee. We get a better idea of what we're getting with him now.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'll take him a while as well to gel with another team because obviously he was at St Mirren as well for a bit. So he has been kind of moved around, but so it'll take him a little bit of time to gel. But it was good to see how well the three of them work together. And obviously, and I did say that Joe Newell would be a goal scorer. Obviously, I had
You
more
did.
goals, but I did say Joe was going to score on Sunday.
Did he mean the
I
goal?
was like, yeah, predictions come right.
This is the big question, right? So Ian Talker on the comments on YouTube say cracking goal, he meant it all the way. Do you think Joe meant it?
Of course he did. Super Joe.
I thought he did, to be fair. I thought, let's see, if you look at his body shape, he sets up for it.
Yeah.
Is it the
Well, it was a
easiest
cracker
assist
of a
Martin
goal.
Boyle's ever going to get?
What was that?
Is it the easiest assist that Martin Boyle's ever going to get?
Definitely. But I mean, Joe just loves scoring screamers at Rugby Park.
No half.
Seems to be the ground for him, so.
Tracy, what do you think is the issue that we've got now with losing the late goals? So obviously, it happened like a few times this season. We lost late goals. It was a habit last season that we had that punished us several times over the course of the season. What do you think is going on there?
I think we're just maybe switching off. I think it's just something that we'll need to work on. I don't know if fatigue's playing a part in it, but we just seem to be switching off. I mean, the one on Sunday, I just felt, it was just a really clumsy challenge. I mean, it could have happened to any player, but it was just really clumsy rather than us like being really outwardly bad, if you know what I mean. It was just one of those kind of, oh God, kind of challenges. I don't even think probably Jordan meant it as such, if you know what I mean, but it was just one of those ones you just go, oh God, here we go.
You can see
But
him thinking it as well. He was
it is
sort
what
of
it is.
face planted on the ground with his arms at his side, and he sort of looked like he was hoping it'd be like that bit in Trainspotting where Renton goes through the carpet and just disappears.
I
Unfortunately,
know.
then they had to
Oh,
get back up again, and
I
that
know.
was that.
He's not
Uh,
had the best start to the season as well. And like I keep seeing comments of player of the year last year, but he's still trying to gel as well in that,
mhm.
when it's back forward, and it's the trust that you've got to have in these, when you're in defence and the trust with the players that are in front of you as well. And with all the new faces, it'll come. And I think he'll get back to his best. It took him a wee while to kind of get settled when he came. But I do think he'll get back to his best. I think people just need to maybe lay off him a bit.
Yeah. Seen on the comments there that the Scotland's goal got chopped off,
Oh,
so we're still 1-0 down.
can't give
Colin,
it up in football.
Surely that deserves a fuck VAR in there.
I tell you, there's a wee lad who sits next to me at the game. I think it's his granddad that brings him, his granddad and his big brother. And he's the one that, if you remember me talking about him last season, he tapped me on the shoulder. We were playing Kilmarnock home, and he went, "They're hungry wee bastards," about them. I was like, right. But we were sitting before the game against Dundee. That's why he tapped me on the arm, and I was like, "What is it, pal?" And he's like, "Fuck VAR, fuck VAR." I was like, "But sometimes VAR comes to a rescue, and Dundee had the goal chopped off against us." I was like, thinking about VAR now, he's like, it's all right. Right, Colin. What was your takeaway for Sunday after the game? Not Colin
Um,
Wilkinson, other Colin.
right, I'll go on.
saw him coming off mute, ready to go there.
I mean, I think John and Tracy have kind of covered it. I mean, I only saw the highlights. I was away at the weekend, and I went through the highlights quite a few times, and I was particularly because when Jordan gives away the penalty, I was kind of because I really don't like the camera angles that they've got at Rugby Park because you couldn't. Because what it looked like is that O'Hara thought that he had, was it Anderson who's off his shoulder? He thought he had him, and he was in front of him or he was going to be offside. But it looks like Triantis has dropped back and he's playing on. So Jordan turns around and goes, "I've got to get back," and that's when he takes him out. So, I mean, I think that's the danger of playing like a centre half in midfield, is that he's automatically just gonna drift. And I think as well, I'm also gonna pick on Triantis again when he does that mazy run, right? If you watch it, Miko peels off, and he's just at the edge of the box, and just as Triantis is about to get into the box, if he just lays it off, Miko's basically through. But again, that's play. If you're playing a centre half in midfield, he's not going to see that ball. But he's playing there because he's a big laddie. And if you look at almost all the players that Gray signed, they're all 6 foot plus. So it's definitely, you know, because you were asking for like to put positives in the Patreon chat. So I put a load of positives. And I was thinking about, like, obviously I think Miko's got a lot of I said he looked like Riordan 05, which is maybe a bit of an overstatement. I did go 6 goals. We were going to win 6 goals last week. And obviously I think Bowie's got real potential. We've still got Elie, and we've still got, and list all the positives of the players. But I didn't say Gray. I didn't say David, you know, our manager is a real positive. I guess it's not that I'm against David Gray. It's just he's still a young manager. He's still learning. He's still going to make mistakes. I still think, you know, through time, we're going to get there. But it is that kind of, he is going to make daft substitutions. And I think, you know, tactically, he's not going to see out games. I think the lack of goals or the lack of goal threat is potentially, but again, it's still early. I think the one thing I was going to say, I think John touched on it a wee bit when he was talking about, you know, picking a team to face, like, that fits the opposition or the kind of the environment you're in. I had a look at the BBC's kind of stats, you know, the match stats.
Yeah.
And just comparing, if you compare like the Dundee Kilmarnock game to last season in St Mirren, obviously Celtic's not much worth comparing. But it is basically last season, it was like Hibs 65-70% possession. I think there was like a couple of draws and a win. But if you compare this season, it's like 50-50. It's like we are not, you know, obviously that was one of the things with Montgomery, was that it was about slow build up, which, you know, to the kind of detriment of almost anything else. But Gray seems to he's going toe to toe. And I think if you're going toe to toe, that's, you know, you really got to make that kind of physical advantage, which I think is what he's going for, work, if you see what I mean. Because he doesn't, I mean, I know Miko and Bowie have got a bit of flair, but he's not signed a lot of flair in that team. You know, if Elie was to have, you know, gone, you kind of, where's the kind of creativity? If, you know, if Neil gets injured, I don't know. That's the worry. But I mean, it's still a work in progress. But I think we're probably in a healthier position now than maybe when we were under Montgomery after the same 4 or 5 games. If that doesn't sound too daft.
No, that's fine. What so Derek McInnes after the game said that the draw was the very least Kelly deserved, and he thought that they should have won. And I watched it and I was like, fucking game did he watch? But then you see the stats, and the stats were like fairly even. Did they have a point? Was a point the least that they deserved, or do you think he was sort of talking up his side's performance?
I mean, I think he was talking up. I mean, because are they still bottom? That's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, and they've had that. The thing that we had last season was that Thursday,
Just
Sunday.
above Hearts. Sorry, ban, they're just above Hearts. Just below Hearts.
Aye,
Just below.
Below Hearts.
Hearts are
Right.
doing their
Quite
best to
even though.
catch them.
Yeah.
Kind of not much between them.
But I would say, I mean, obviously Vassell's missed, but I mean, thing is, like, I mean, I don't really trust XG, but it was saying like the XG after the game, Hibs was like 0.38, which is like, so like obviously Newell's chat like shot wasn't, they weren't expecting it to go in.
Yeah.
But I was like
Aye.
0.38, that's nothing.
But that's,
And there's
I know,
two,
if you think
so
about it,
yeah.
sorry, but in, right, the Joe Newell's goal was like fucking 0.0 or something, wasn't it? I seen that. And then the
Yeah.
other shot on target was for hour and a half.
Yeah,
So again, that would be, I bet that wasn't much different for 0.01 or whatever Newell was. So that'll be why it's so low. Whereas they had, well, the boy missed an open goal. And then
Yeah.
they hit the post, the middle of the goals as well. So just depends what you think. They had better chances. That's what I said on Sunday. They had better chances, but we felt the better team. So I can see why McInnes is saying that, because you could either say a draw was a fair result, or it was the least we deserved that more positive, and a draw was a fair result. So it's probably trying to be positive because they're fighting out with Hearts for the playoff spot.
Yeah. This early in the season. Colin, while you're on, we spoke on extra time on Sunday for talking about positives. You've had like a few days to think about it. Colin, not that one, had just listed a few there. Where's your head at now with thinking of positives?
I think when you asked, I wasn't thinking of sort of maybe individual players. I was thinking about a bigger thing than that. But obviously, Molotnikov has been as good. The youngster breaking into the team, getting games. Sunday wasn't his best game, but you know what? If you're playing a youngster, he's not going to be the best player of the week. That's going to happen. So we can accept that. That's one positive for me. I think the squad is stronger than last season. I think we got there in the end on extra time. When the question was that on Sunday, I can't remember if it was extra time, but we definitely spoke about it.
It was
the
extra
squad
time.
stronger?
Yeah,
and I think it is. When you look at it on paper, it definitely feels stronger. When you see the outs versus the ins, and again, judging that based on 3-4 games or not even full games and bully and all that kind of stuff. So might end up with egg on my face later on in the season, but at the moment, I feel like the squad's stronger.
fair enough. And that's, I suppose, a fairly significant positive as well, isn't it? Like, your squad's like your sort of your bread and butter. So, James, I'll come to you next. What do you think about where the squad is now compared to where we went in at the start of the window, where you had us down as relegation candidates?
You're not letting me away with that ever, are you?
It's a good barometer, isn't it? Like that's
I know.
if that's your benchmark, then we can see how far we've come or not since then.
I've got to disagree with Colin a wee bit. I think the team's a wee bit weaker than last season.
I'm not
going to be negative. I'll be positive. I'll just disagreeing. I'm allowed to once or twice a year. I just think we normally do. Think that's a huge hole we've no filled. I'm hoping Youan comes good and he's fit and stays fit and he gets his head screwed on and just goes for it and shows the potential that he's got. Positives, Molotnikov, 18-year-old, starting so many games, brilliant. That pitch on Sunday killed him though, because he changed his boots. He was trying everything, just wasn't working. You have days after that.
See, I'm not having that, right? He'll only ever played on Astro to get this far in his career.
I don't know.
And then as soon as he goes on Astro, he's struggling.
I don't know what it is.
That Astro
It's a strange
is
one.
terrible. I'm with you, James, on it. I think that pitch is just fucking shite. Although I did laugh at Martin Boyle when he sclaffed the free kick, trying to clear the AstroTurf out his boots at the bottom.
No, they're up like that.
As if they got clogged up.
There's no daisies to cut. I mean, when you asked the question, what's the positives? I think really everything about the club is positive. I mean, we've got a nice stadium, training centre. We've got the security of the Black Knights and everything is going with us. We're not in debt. Well, okay, we've kind of shifted the money around a wee bit. But that's what you do. My weakest point was the first 11, but it's a work in progress. We're in transition. So it's I'm quite happy to see where it takes us. I mean, if we're going to be play hard to beat football, yeah, we're going to get some grimy games. We just have to accept that. But we've got 3 or 4 players within that starting 11 that can turn a game on its head in an instant. And that's a positive. And I think if we can keep them fit and keep them happy, then I think we'll probably win. We'll be a bit Arsenal, win a lot of games 1-0.
Take that though. Tracy, what about you? What do you think? Stronger now than we were at the start of the window, or still too early to say?
No, I think we're stronger. I think Gray's made good signings. You know, I mean, it's 11 signings. I know we all still feel we maybe could have done a little bit more, which is mad when you're talking about 11 signings coming through the door. But no, I do think they're good signings. I think maybe we've just brought in players that are maybe not as fit as we need them to be, or as much ahead like everybody else due to pre-season and things. But I do think everybody will come good, and I think I think it'll be one of the best squads that we've had in a wee while. God, really putting my neck on the line there.
Well, you've got a question on the. You've got a question on the comments for you, Tracy. It's for alternate Hibs, which is John. Not that John, obviously. He's not sitting on the call and also
Was it my face when
YouTube.
James talked about Black Knights?
No. It's John's question was: as you and Scottish mum, what's Tracy's inside scoop on Elie playing for Hibs in the coming weeks and months? Can we expect his mercurial talents to grace the green and white once more?
Well, he's not been signed for. He's not left us, so
yeah.
At the end of the day, he's here till January at least if we get an offer for him. So, he's a player that thrives, when he's getting all the kind of plaudits and when he's doing well and he's scoring and assisting. So I think we'll see Elie. Not that I know.
No.
But I do think well, we will be back, because you're not going to leave a player like that out your squad.
Yeah, I hope he's back. I thought, I think Elie's one of our best players, if not our best player when he's on his game.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, psychologically, it's going to be hard for him because of the abuse. And as much as everybody's really kind of got behind him, you always do focus on the negative stuff.
Yeah, of course.
That's always the stuff that jumps out at you, and it's hard to kind of get past that sometimes. So I think psychologically, if as long as he gets the support and that he needs from the club, then, I think, we're back. And yeah, he's got a little bit of development to do, and, and sometimes he can be frustrating, but, he has a talent. He's got something special, and, I think we forget. I think sometimes we don't realise what we've got until we've not got it.
Definitely agree with that. John, we'll bring you in and ask you the same question, really, about what your thoughts are on the the state of the squad.
I think we've got that sort of better balance. I think there are players. I mean, Ewan Henderson would be an example. I mean, promising youngster at Celtic that hasn't quite done it in Scotland, but probably has a skill type in a game that seems to be more suited to the continent. I mean, so he's moved on. He's no longer round about the squad. Yeah, we'll remember the ball through when it's at Mirren. I mean, at the end of that season, but it wasn't working out for him. So there's been good movement in the sense that some players have moved on. It's clear some players aren't going to. I mean, Noah Kenny, you can't see him being involved in the squad. Do I think we could name an 18 that we're quite happy with? I mean, going into a match day, yes. I think we need a bit of luck with injuries this season and suspensions. I think it's like we are a good squad, but not with huge depth. I can understand why they've got players that can play different positions. So no, I think overall it's been quite a positive transfer window. That we nod clearly in the 20-minute of no shit Sherlock stuff from the sporting director telling us this is how we do recruitment. It was probably nice to know that actually they have brought in something that's more normal in terms of how you do it. But that idea of some players chose to not take the opportunity to be somewhere else. I mean, I'd have thought you should be going out on loan, because what you do is you retain your contract, you retain the money that you've got, but you give minutes in your leg. So
You
I'd
get
be
to play.
curious as to why some players have hung around. They maybe think that they've got a chance of injuries hit.
Maybe they just like PlayStations and that. Like I'm thinking, if my work offered me like see out your contract and you could just, it's like kind of being on garden leave, isn't it, for them? If they get to tell you you're not going to play and they've decided not to go elsewhere, then I don't know. I can't imagine it's like especially enjoyable. Tracy, you got your hand up.
So it took me just to get me off mute there.
That's all right.
No, it was just on that point. I don't think any of the players, like I listened to Malky's, and I was all for giving him a chance and the rest of it, but I actually sat and listened to it and I thought, excuse the language, but I thought, what a lot of pish. Quite frankly.
What was it specifically that you thought was a lot of pish?
I found it quite unbelievable as well. It just, I don't know, it just really, I thought, why have I spent 20 minutes watching this? And the way he talked about the players that didn't want to go, every player wants to play football. So what have you done to help them leave? If has there been an opportunity, or was the opportunity that was only offered to them, was it not good for them and their family? Because it's not obviously, or the right move for them. So what have you done to help them move? I just think, every player wants to play. Nobody wants to be sitting, not even on, sitting in the stands on a match day rather than even being on the bench or whatever. That's where they want to be, at least on the bench, and being able to try and make an impact in a game. But I don't believe any player ever wants to just take their wage and just sit there and not do anything. Because it doesn't help them in the long run. And if they're not playing, they're not going to get that move either.
Colin, not that one. What I don't know if you got a chance to see Malky's interview. Did you watch it?
You're asking him, eh?
Yeah, other Colin.
Aye.
There you are.
No, I've not seen it.
No worries. Well, I suppose I'll ask another question then, because there was a bit of chat about we certainly talked about it, the lack of incoming players for Bournemouth, and the lack of apparent interest from Black Knights. There was a piece in the Evening News, not last night, but the night before, again, it was Malcolm Mackay sort of giving a bit of a lowdown on why that was, and he said that they had interest in Bevan, and when that never happened because of his injury, there wasn't anybody else that they saw that Bournemouth were wanting to send up that would have fit into the team. But he also made reference to, and I'll try and get the name right, it was Tim Bezpchenko, I think it is, who's the Black Knight FC president, spending time at the club with him. So there's definitely some movement there. Do you think that's encouraging and maybe sort of takes away a wee bit of the negative feeling that Black Knight weren't interested at all?
I've got no idea, to be honest. It is quite puzzling the amount it's been chalked up, and I think there is something dysfunctional between the relationship between Hibs and Bournemouth. I think we think it's a bit bigger than it actually is. I think the money that they put in is like small change for them. And I think we're kind of talking up. I think like obviously Bill Foley's comments about they've not listened to us and stuff, and they're okay. They may be talking to the sporting director, but as you've seen, like the players we've signed, it's either like people that have been on loan already, or do you know what I mean? It's not. I'm not seeing a kind of that we're not tapping into their kind of network. There's nothing, they're not pulling any rabbits out of the hats. We've not got any other, and you can't tell me there isn't at least 2 or 3 young players at Bournemouth that could do with, playing it in the SPL. Do you know what I mean? I'm just.
They put players out in other teams, haven't they? The other clubs have got, like, they're not part of the group, but they put them out on loan there. You would think so. It does suggest that they aren't speaking to us, like the initial comment about they're not listening to us. This is the consequence of that.
Yeah, it's interesting they had I think Malky said that we need players to come in and make an impact on day one, but at the same time we signed Junior Hoilett, who's we're at the international break and he's not kicked the ball for us yet. Like there's a sort of contradiction there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't trust Malky Mackay. Malky Mackay is only interested in one person, that's him, right? And he's shown it throughout his career. The other stuff aside, Malky Mackay, it's just, and if you look at his career trajectory, it's kind of on a downward slope. And I don't know why, I don't know why we've got him, but I don't really trust what he says, and I don't think he's here for the long term. I don't know. There's just something about him that I don't trust. But I mean, I want him to do well.
Yeah.
But I really didn't trust him. But we'll see.
There is I believe we had the opportunity to sign Innocent Bonk, and from a podcaster's point of view, I'm fucking devastated that never happened. Like, I mean, there's so much potential there, but
think about the titles, show titles.
I know it's like it's a podcaster's dream. James, you get your hand up. I'll bring you in, and then John will get you in.
Yeah, just on the Bournemouth or the Black Knights group chat, I looked at Lorient's and Bournemouth's outgoing loans and stuff like that kind of during the week there, and only one player of all Bournemouth's first team outs have gone to one of the member teams. That was a goalkeeper to Auckland.
Mhm.
The rest have all gone. The ones that I would have probably liked have all gone to championship teams. I mean, I think I said last week some guy called Jefferson. It was actually Jebison. He's gone. Striker, which we were looking for, has gone to Watford. Surely we could have competed with that as a decent choice to go. I think the other one's Burnley, and I looked at Lorient's squad as well, and they've actually got a couple of players out to like Udinese and some decent teams there. So there's decent players within the group floating around. I just wonder why they weren't kind of not forced. Again, looking at player care, not forced to go to another team, but offered or spoken about try here, because surely the difference between a championship and SPL isn't much. I mean, yeah, there's some big teams in there, but the standard of football, if you're going to like Ibrox, Parkhead, you're going to see big crowds, decent pitches, decent games, and you're going to get toughened up a bit. Whereas the championship is just blood and thunder, and most teams don't get out of that league. It is a cutthroat league.
But the English, but the player going there's for development, not about getting out of the league. So
exactly.
The English teams see it as development. To what they do is they send somebody to Scotland. They do this well in Scotland, then they punt them to the Championship before they take them back at the Premier. They've done it with, Patrick Roberts at Celtic, with Barker. That was their sort of pathway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just think the Championship. We sell players to the Championship when they think they've outgrown us. To Watford.
Yeah, it's just I feel if they're in the group, we should be kind of the first choice, and then say, "Well, we don't want them, or we don't." It's not a case of affording, because Bournemouth are covering the wages because they're on their £300 million a year win bonus. I mean, I think it was yourself that said to get us into Champions League gives only about 50 million to do it. I might have been down the slope guys that said it. I mean, if Bournemouth go down this year, what's the plan?
I think Bournemouth are pretty safe, to be honest. I think they're pretty well run and set up quite well. I'd be surprised if they go down, but it's a valid question. I think the other thing that is maybe a factor is that we're not playing in any European competition this season because we were so bad last season. I think maybe if we'd had Conference League or Europa League this season, that might have been a better opportunity or a more appealing prospect for Bournemouth to punt players in our direction. John, bring you in now.
That the relationship is what we expected it to be. We talked a few weeks ago about the idea that Malky Mackay would reach out and be speaking to his equivalents across the group. He's got the smarts enough to do that. I get where Colin's coming from. I mean, it's the idea is he the best man for the job, or he's just the chairman's pal? I mean, irrespective of other things from the past, he sits with that target on his back to start with. So that being there isn't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Any issue is above that. It's I'll be quite consistent. I mean, it's stuck in my craw listening to the eulogizing about the amount of money that's been put in by Ian Gordon and the Gordon family. I mean, during a time where the club will have sold somewhere between 55 and 60,000 season tickets. I mean, over that 5-year period, plus all the other money that's been put in through HSL and other things. So I think part of the problem is genuinely at the top. And if we have owners who think that they are owners and not custodians, and that they're owners and not part of a group, then what we're seeing play out is what you'd expect to play out. I mean, Bournemouth are not going to throw their teddies. The Black Knights are not going to completely destroy the relationship in year one. They will just let the rope go. You know what I mean? And it's very much the crack on, guys. Do what you want. Now, I think it's been relatively successful, but it's when we can get somebody like Marcondes dropped on us in January. I mean, and yet, whilst it didn't work out for the whole half season, and again, how much the injury was there and such, it's strange that nothing has happened. I mean, and it was all down to Bevan, who was coming in January as well.
He better be a superstar when he arrives here, eh?
Bevan, aye.
The expectations have just went. We've tried to get him twice now. Like it'll be like third time lucky.
See,
We went to the Lorient guy because we hadn't seen him. Now, there's bits in there that you would. We've heard so many tales of the years of how first thing that happened through COVID was that we got rid of all our scouts. I mean, everything was then done on Y Scout or whatever computer program was telling them. I mean, and we still all have nightmares of the Bojang transfer window. I mean, and the number of absolute randoms that came in there, and that causes a problem. So we have that 18-month period leading up to that. That's created the problem in recruitment. Yeah, managers involved and everything we're doing locally. But the fact that nothing came from Bournemouth, I mean, a Premiership team who will have players who should be playing at least at our level or should be able to bump into top 4 teams in the Scottish Premiership. I mean, probably tells me not about Malky, but about those above him.
I think the other thing, I think you make a really good point there about the eulogising, and the money that Ian Gordon's put in. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Season ticket holders and sponsors and all the rest of it have put a lot of money in. But the other thing is like the Gordon's, that, like the 5.5 million that they converted to shares, they've not written that money off. They'll just hope to get that money back when they sell. Plus a bit, it's an investment. It's like sticking it in an ISA for however many years. They bought more shares in Hibs. That's an investment. The value of the business goes up, and when they cash it in, they'll get that money back plus some. And before they did that, they put it in as a loan. So they were going to get the money back. It's not like an overtly generous thing. This is their business. They chose to own it. They decided that they wanted a football club. It's on them to run it. And if it costs them a couple of million a day, then that's their choice. There's nobody got a gun to their head to do it.
And his eyes wide open, because Tom Farmer in his interviews after selling Hibs, I mean, and do I absolutely understand that Ron Gordon was the right person? But one of the things he had checked with Ron was you do have deep pockets because it's a football club. I mean, so this is an eyes open thing. So that, to me, I mean, Tracy's spoken during the summer about sort of the breakdown she feels. I think there is a disconnect between the fans and the hierarchies at the club. I mean, I don't think the hierarchy at the club care about it, if I'm brutally honest about it. And in going towards the 150th year, I mean, that's a really, really sad place to be. And I know this is me taking it in a really negative spin, but that relationship with the Black Knights can be really positive, should be really positive. It's a broad group that's only going to get bigger in terms of football. But I think they're going to let us just run away with the rope for a while.
I think you're probably quite right with that. Tracy, you got your hand up?
Yeah, just kind of following on from what everyone else has said about Black Knights relationship, and obviously it was supposed to be really exciting. We're getting all this investment, we're going to get players. It was really hyped up, and it's kind of been a damp squid, really. With all the talk of that, we haven't been listening, and then somebody leaked that it was Dave and Malky that they didn't want. So I don't know if Malky's back's maybe slightly up with that. It's saying that he's been speaking to them. We don't know if he's been speaking to them. But I just think it's strange that in a transfer window that's been open for such a long period of time that we have not had one Bournemouth player come our way. I just find it so strange. And I know a lot of people do find it strange. And just really what John was saying, there is that disconnect still with the hierarchy. And I agree, I don't think they do care. I think they care about money, but I don't think they care about the people.
Well,
ask something. Can I ask something? I'll change the subject. See if you had one question for Kensal, Gordon, or Malky Mackay. What would it be? Quick fire round the room.
I might not be allowed to comment.
Tracy. No, you can. It's a
question.
question.
Go for it. You can do it. It's a safe space.
Let's go out to everybody.
No, it's just a question. It's not a statement. So go to John. I'll let you have some time to think about your question.
Who are the most important people at the football club? Rank them 1 to 10. And there can be groups of people in there as well.
Who are you asking that?
To the board. Let them have a meeting between them, and they can decide whether the board goes number 1 or whether it's the Gordon family number 1. Where do the fans fit? Where does the players fit? I mean, where does if they want to rank the different hospitality suites in there, they probably can as well in terms of who they think's more important.
Again, they're going to start with the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper, right back.
First name of the team sheet.
The two centre halves.
He's doing the pitch. Great job on the pitch. Mind it's sit down and when you look at your organisation that you're in charge of, what is important in there to you?
What's the rank?
I think us and the players
that would tell me a lot about where they see their priorities being.
I'm going to try and keep track of these questions because they're good. Right, Colin, who are you going to next, Colin?
James.
I've got 2 questions. One for the Black Knights, one for our board.
I never asked about the Black Knights.
Come on, they're on the board.
Kensal, Gordon, or Malky Mackay. That's who I gave. Right.
Where are you taking Hibs in 5 years? What's your goal? And if you don't achieve it, you're going to walk away.
Okay.
So was it 5-year goals?
Yeah.
Aye. What was your Black Knights question?
Does you have any billionaire pals that want to invest in a football team?
I think there is one. Colin, not that one. I've got to ask you next.
I would ask Malky Mackay, what value do you add to Hibs? What value have you added to Hibs in your short time here, and how are you gonna measure that in the short, medium, and long term? That's what I would ask him, and I would be surprised. I don't know. I'd love to hear the answer to that.
Good question, Tracy. You're getting a question.
I would ask, do you really feel that you're honouring Ron's legacy?
Nice one. What would you call him? What would you ask? Since you're asking the question.
No, I'm just wondering what everybody else would think. I've not thought about it.
Have you got an interview coming up or something you're not telling us about?
No.
Nah, we imagine. Right, what we got? We got last 10 minutes. So I suppose we sort of touched it before with John's question about Elie Youan. Obviously, there was the incident last week that we spoke about last week as well. But in amongst that as well, folk had shared screenshots of conversations that he'd had where he sort of implied that he wasn't interested in playing for Hibs again or coming back. Like folk had said, are you going to see him playing in the green and white again? And he'd answered, in your dreams. What's the group's thoughts on it? Is there a way back for Elie? Is it just a case of all he needs to do is put the shirt on and go and get his best on the shirt on the pitch, and all's forgiven kind of thing? Everybody just waits to his first goal and all's good in the world again. Colin, not that one. I'll come to you first with that question.
It's a difficult one, to be honest. I mean, there's players who've wanted away, and but it's still, once they've stepped on the pitch, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I think if you're sharing, chats and stuff saying that you're wanting away and stuff, I mean, it's not going to be until January. And Hibs are really going to want to play him because if he's not playing, then his value, we're not going to get the 2.5 million that we want for him. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think probably David Gray needs to sit him down and go, look, you're here till January. You've got to help us. You know what I mean? I need you. I know what you can do. You can be part of this team. Stay off the socials. Just focus on the football, and look, if we get a good bid for you in January, you're happy to go. But just focus on the football. Leave the other stuff behind. That's what I think. That's what I imagine he's actually doing right now, to be honest. But whether Elie will do that, I don't know. I think he will, but yeah.
Well, what do you think, James?
Any player that puts on the shirt gets my backing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's people in that squad I want shorter, but I'm not going to pick out any individuals. They come onto that pitch wearing the green and white, then they get my backing. I think it's the fans that need to change. Not all of them, just the toxic lot. He puts that shirt on. If he tries, he's going to do his best. If he doesn't try, it'll be plainly obvious, and Gray will see it and we'll pick him. His own performances will get, if it's positive, he'll get the transfer he wants in January. If he doesn't, nobody's going to want him. It's like the players. It's the same as players go on loan. Say McCurdy wasn't going to go to Swindon. Why not? I'm quite happy sitting here on my arse doing nothing. No, that doesn't happen. I don't need to pick on McCurdy. But as Mackay says,
hat-trick yesterday, by the way, the development team, I believe, it might be in the day. I believe he fired a hat-trick in, so get him in the team.
Exactly. That's exactly what Trace says. They want to be playing football. And if they're scoring goals, confidence will be high. And that could transfer into the first team. Yeah, we know he's got his health issues and all that, but hopefully the medical staff will see to that. But I just feel that if he puts the ball in the back of the net, most will forgive him. But there'll be some out there that just won't. And never win these people over. And for me, it's just a case of put the ball in the back of the net, just keep a smile on the face at all times, best you can, mate. It's going to be hard for him to ignore what's going on. No, I don't think MD could, but we live in hope, and hopefully he does well for us, even if it's just for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. What about you, John? Is there a risk that you play an unhappy player and it can be disruptive to the rest of the squad, or do you use the fact that Elie sees his future elsewhere as the carrot on, the carrot on that you dangle to say, have a phenomenal few months, and then when it gets to January, you're going to be fighting off the suitors?
My impression of Elie is that one of his really happy places is on a football pitch with the ball in front of him. I mean, putting a defender on his arse. I mean, so I think that just giving Elie that tunnel back out onto the pitch, the little that we saw him in pre-season, yeah, there was a lot more team play. We don't have, when he first arrived, he was really raw and he kept the ball far, far too long. We've seen over time that's gone away. So I think it's a really easy sell. I think that the hard bit will be he got injured in pre-season. So when he starts to play again, it's going to have to be the last half hour of the game to get him back up to speed and get the legs in place. And that's where the fans have to have a bit of patience. There's a lot of anger that goes around and it sort of spills out, within grounds and can be directed at any player within the ground. At any time. But I think it's all about that patience. But he loves the game. Everything that you see him putting up on social media about what he does and what he sees as fab, that level of flair, is brilliant. So I think that, put him in his happy place and hopefully he makes us happy.
There's Jason, I know you kind of answered this question already, so maybe get you to look at it a slightly different way. Having Hoilett available and a fit and firing Elie Youan, there's a bit of competition for Martin Boyle there. That a healthy thing for Martin as well? Do you think that might sort of kickstart his season? Because he's used to being up there on that pedestal, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. Competition is good for any player. Doesn't matter how long you've been at a club or how good you are. You need to have competition because it's the only way that you're going to get better yourself and progress. I thought through pre-season we were seeing a much happier Martin Boyle. He was back to being fit. He was doing what Martin Boyle does as well. He just looked really happy. And I don't know, maybe it is people getting on his back as well and kind of confidence is gone. But I think he'll come good. He's Martin Boyle. You know what I mean? I do
True
think he'll
story.
come good.
Okay, right. We're out of time. Thanks everybody for
No.
coming on.
Who's got the women's derby tomorrow?
Oh, good shout, Colin.
Nenny's
I'm
gone.
down in Kent.
Aye.
So
Women's
I'll not make
derby
it.
tomorrow. Tickets are free. 7:35 at Easter Road tomorrow night.
Unfortunately, can't make it.
I am going to London City
Part-timers.
Lionesses v Newcastle on Sunday though. So I'm sticking with the women's game this week.
I forgot what I call well remembered, because that's the sort of thing I'm supposed to remember and invariably forget every fucking week. I always have something I mention that I forget. See the amount of folk that ask me to mention something and I go, I definitely will if I remember. And that's the caveat that I always have to put in because my memory is fucking dreadful and I forget. So well done, Colin, for remembering.
They're on fire, the women. They really are. I feel they're getting back to the Hibernian women that we've known years gone by. Just hammering everybody, really. And even like the draw against Celtic
There's a big gulf.
as well.
There's a big gulf between the top
Yeah,
five and the rest.
it's good to see. It's good to see us back.
Chance of 7-0 then.
Oh, how good
Hearts
would
are
that
one of
be?
the Hearts are one of the top five as well, though. So, but I think they beat them 3 times out of 4 last season. The much better record against Hearts in the women's game than there is in the men's game.
Shocked.
Maybe we should start following that.
Right, anyway, we're out of time. I'll try to wrap it up because we'll get the second half if you want to see it. I think it's started already. Fucking hell, right. We'll go and torture ourselves. If this wasn't enough torture for you, there's more torture on ITV4 than now. You can catch the Scotland game as well. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back on Sunday with long bangers. I don't know what we'll talk about yet because there's no Hibs game, but we'll put something out and then we'll have extra time on Monday. Any topics that you'd like us to cover in depth, like for anybody that was watching and doesn't know about. All right, Tracy, can you get your hand up?
Strictly, because obviously, who was it? Was it John or was
John
it
and Colin,
you,
I think. Started to...
A wee bit more Strictly. It's coming back, so
Right,
a bit more Strictly.
If we can get an idea for somebody else that's no Tracy.
Married at first sight.
For anybody who's watching, tune in. If you don't subscribe, what subscribers do get every week is an episode called Extra Time, which is like a half hour where we tend to focus in on one particular topic and give it a bit more attention than we do on the Sunday ones. So if you want to go and check them out, all the old ones or since we started being on Patreon are available, and there is a free trial on Patreon now as well that you can sign up for if you want to